And welcome to Chapter 1 lecture. For this chapter, you will be reading all the sections for Chapter 1. For other lectures, I will tell you which chapters you need to read. We will not cover everything in this book. But for Chapter 1, you will need to read all sections. First off, I want to tell you about how to be successful in this class. It is very important that you follow these steps if you want to be successful. The first thing that you need to do is read the textbook. I know it's kind of an archaic thing anymore. Students don't like to read, but you should. You need to read the assigned readings. We don't do that for fun, for sport, where we assign readings to you. You should do that preferably before you come to class and that we can actually cover that topic in class. This is done so that you are exposed to it before you come to class, and that way it's not completely new to you and so unknown that you cannot even focus on things that you, let's say you were missing at home. It would be, if you never saw it before and you came to class, it would be completely unknown to you. And if you read the textbook, you might not understand everything you read, and that's okay, but at least you are familiar with some of the content. And so when you come to class and we cover the material in class and talk about those topics, you at least have some idea of what we're talking about. That's why this is done. Second, while you read the text, take good notes. You can write out questions you might have or other points that you are not so sure about when you're reading the textbook. And when you come to class then and you hear it again, you can either ask those questions if they do not become clearer, or they will become clearer when we cover that chapter, that material in class. So these two go hand in hand, the assigned readings and taking good notes. Take good notes during lecture. Sometimes I cover or I do explanations a little differently than what we cover in the textbook or the way they're in the textbook. So take good notes and ask questions. Whether it's the questions that you wrote down when you were reading the textbook or whether it's questions that come up as we talk about this material, then ask questions. Do not be shy. I know students are shy about asking questions because they're concerned about what the next person's going to think. Chances are the next person has the same questions you do. So be brave and ask questions. I always think of it as this is, well, when I was a student, I thought this is my education. I am paying for it. Therefore, I have the right to ask my questions and for the instructor to address my questions. I didn't care what the person next to me thought because guess what? In 4 years, you would, well, even less, depending on the school you attend, you will never see or hear these students again, from these students again. So it's pointless to tailor your needs in a class depending on who's sitting next to you because you'll never see those people again, chances are. So make sure that you ask questions. Do not be shy about that. I assign worksheets for each chapter, and I do that for several reasons. One is because I want you to do the problems, and I want you, there's the only way to really understand science and understand the material in a science class is to work and to do the problems that you are assigned in each chapter. Now, we don't have homework in this class to be graded, but what I do is I assign you worksheets, and then when we do have quizzes, which we'll have daily quizzes, I take those problems from the quizzes, typically from the worksheets. And so the worksheets will help you succeed in the daily quizzes if you do the worksheets. I do not provide you with the solutions to the worksheets. However, you are free to ask me any questions on the worksheets. You can email them to me, take a picture, scan your work and send them to me and say, hey, professor, I've done this far, this much. Could you please tell me if I've done them right or not? And I will give you feedback on those and let you know if you've done them correctly or not. So don't be deterred just because you don't have the answers. Work on the worksheets and check with me whether you've done them right or not. Organize a study group. This is another great tool to utilize. A lot of times, well, when I was a student, I did study with other people, and it just helps. Even if you know the material, it helps to solidify it. When you teach it to other people, that's how you really learn it. Or whether you are a student who's still struggling, you will benefit from somebody else that actually knows the material better than you. So find other students that are in the class and are have similar schedules or similar interests, whatever, and organize a little study group and study every week, study together. It's a good tool. Obviously, ask questions of your instructor. That is a main theme throughout any science course, any course in general, but science in particular. Ask questions. Don't be shy. The more questions you ask, the better you will do. And then I have this repeated because this is really, really important. Review the material. Review, review, review. Review daily. You don't have to, you'll find that the more you review, the more often you review, the less time you will spend reviewing. In fact, I want to show you this graph here. It's called the curve of forgetting. And let's say you were here in day one and you heard that first lecture. On day one, you know 100% of what you will know on that particular lecture. So whatever you have cemented, whatever you have learned after the lecture, we'll call that 100%. It may not be to the 100% of what it should be, but it's 100% for you personally on day one. Now, if you don't do any review, by day 30, you will have retained maybe 90%, or you will have retained maybe 10%. You've forgotten about 90% of that original 100% that you learned. These days also coincide or are very close to exam day. And therefore, if you're on day 30 and have not reviewed anything, you come to you get ready for the exam and you start cramming, typically what students do, and find out that, oops, I actually don't recall any of this information. So it looks new to you on day 30. And you have to relearn all of that stuff to get your retaining up to 100% to where you had it on day one. Now let's say on day two, you reviewed for 10 minutes. You get this curve as it's dropping, you get it back up to almost 100% of what you had on day one. And if you do that every day, let's see, day 7, all you need to do is review only 5 minutes to keep it to 100%. And then by day 30, it only takes about 2 to 4 minutes of review to keep that initial 100% of your curve. This is just to show you that with a little bit of reviewing each day, once again, it will get easier. You will not have to review as much as the days progress because you will learn it better, but also you will retain a lot more. And by day 30, when you have to prepare for the exam, it will not appear all new to you. It will appear pretty much as it was on the first day of class when you heard it. That is why I insist on review, 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 because it is really important. If you are serious about doing well in this class, please follow those steps because they will definitely help you.